Good morning, everybody. It is 8:38 right now. Welcome back to Iowa Live. Hanging out with my good friend Michael Jankins as we're here to talk about Jankins Law Firm and bankruptcy and talking about money. And I think that's the bottom line here, Michael. And we're talking about debts because there's a couple of different kind of debts that we've been chatting about.
Yeah, so I thought today we'd talk about what types of debts people have in a bankruptcy and then what happens to them because different debts get treated in different ways when a person's in bankruptcy.
So they are they fall into two distinct categories.
Well, actually, I guess I call it almost even three sometimes,
okay.
Kind of subcategories. So the main ones are secured debts versus unsecured debts, and people hear these terms all the time.
Right.
And I don't know if they always know what we're talking about. So I thought we'd clarify some of this and really break it down today.
All right, let's start with the secured debt. Okay, what is considered a secured debt?
Okay, so secured debts are going to be a debt that is somehow tied to some form of collateral. And when we're talking about collateral, we're talking about some type of property that you might own. So generally we'd be talking about real estate, motor vehicle loans. In the case of a business, the business equipment that you're using.
So something that would have value to someone else, basically, right?
And so in those kind of loans, if you don't make the payments, the bank is secure because it gives them a comfort level. So if you don't make your payments, they've got something that they can take away and sell it. And so they can apply that money to the loan since you weren't doing a very good job making your loan payments.
So they feel more comfortable giving you a larger amount of money because there's something they might be able to get back in return.
That would be generally correct.
Okay, okay.
So they have some protection for their loan where they may not otherwise have protection for their loan.
Right.
And so these are your secured debts, and in the consumer world, it's mainly motor vehicles and homes. And so then when they take away the collateral, that leads us into our next type of debt, because once they sell it, they've just changed themselves from a secured debt to an unsecured debt. The collateral's gone, so now they're just like every other kind of debt.
Okay.
And so now the main unsecured debts that people are going to have are going to be these just everyday stuff that you and I have. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about your credit cards and things like that. And so
say which anything can be on that.
Yeah, and so before we get into all the different kinds of unsecured debts, so when you have secured debts in bankruptcy, you've got options on what you're going to do with those debts. Because when you file bankruptcy, everybody's thinking, well, I'm getting out of my debt, so we're making our debts go away. But that depends. So if you've got these debts that got the collateral, remember, if you don't make your payment, they can take away your collateral, and some people really don't relish that. So when you're talking about your home, you want to keep your home, you still make your house payments, and everybody lives happily ever after. If you want to keep your motor vehicle loan, you will continue to make your loan payments. So that's one option that you have. Now sometimes you're in a bad deal. Your home is falling apart, or you got into your home and it turned out to be something that didn't work out so good for you, or you can't afford it anymore.
Okay.
Same thing with the car. You may have bought a lemon, it keeps breaking down, or you just gotten yourself into something that's way too expensive. So you can decide, you know what, I'm not keeping that stuff. They can have it back. And then you don't have the debt. It just goes away. They get their collateral back and sell it, just like we mentioned before. And so that's an option. You can just get out from under the thing and make it go away.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario here, and you can tell me what would happen. Say we use $40,000 as a number. Okay, so say you have a vehicle that's for $40,000, and you're having a hard time.
That's probably your kind of vehicle, not
I
mine.
wish. Yeah, no, not mine. But say you have a vehicle worth $40,000, and you can't make the payments, and you say, I just want to get out from underneath this. Now, if you relinquish your vehicle, regardless of what they get, maybe you beat your car up a little bit and they only got $20,000 out of the car, are you still responsible for that other, the difference in the money?
Nope, that's just going to be, again, a regular debt in
that's
bankruptcy with all the rest, and it's going to just go away.
Okay, all right, good to know. Okay.
Now, sometimes vehicles come back and they were in an accident, you didn't have any insurance on the thing.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's another good point, yeah.
So they get nothing almost for it.
Right, okay,
so,
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, good point.
So another option that you have, and this isn't a common option, but sometimes it is one, you can negotiate, or we can negotiate with the bank for a cash settlement on the collateral. More often this is going to be motor vehicles, and sometimes in the case of a business, some of the business equipment, where you offer the value of it, because sometimes the loan can be far in excess of what the equipment or the vehicle is worth, and so if it goes back, the bank or the lender is going to get what they're going to get. And it's a lot easier sometimes to just get it from a person versus taking your chances at some type of auction. So, you know, if you've got something worth $10,000 and you owe $50,000 on it, sometimes you can convince the lender to just take $10,000 cash from you if you've got resources or people that are going to help you come up with the money.
And just say, hey, we're done with it then.
And then you're done with it.
Then you're done. Okay.
So
that's an option, but you said, or you would do that. Is that something that you guys would be able to dive in and help with?
People sometimes with it. Now, that isn't a real common thing, but it does happen.
But it does
from
happen.
time to time.
Okay.
So then the rest of the debts into bankruptcy are going to be your everyday debts. So there's a whole laundry list of those that we've got. So the main ones that I always talk about, credit cards. So you got your MasterCards, your Visas, Discover, your store cards, all of those. They go away in bankruptcy. Then you got your signature loans. So in the old days, these commonly came from banks. Well, now most of those are coming from credit unions. The banks aren't so eager to give out those signature loans.
Okay, signature loans. Explain what a signature loan is. I'm not familiar with that.
Well, it's just a loan at a bank. You say, hey, I need $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. I got to make a repair on my house, or I got to get some transmission for my car, or I just want to go on vacation. And so there's no collateral. You just sign your name on the promissory note and set up payments, and that's that.
Is that like a home equity type thing, or is that something different?
That's just a loan.
That's just a loan.
I need a loan. You just go to the bank and say,
okay,
hey, I need a loan, and they go, okay.
Really? Okay.
Well, if you're fortunate, they go, okay. But in the old days, like I say, the banks were the ones that primarily gave these, and finance companies. There used to be lots of finance companies in town.
Yes,
these are higher interest rate companies, and they've kind of gone by the wayside. There's a few of them still in town, but not like there used to be. But the credit unions are the ones giving a lot of these signature loans now. They become very aggressive, and they're really giving the banks a run for their money in the lending business.
Really? Okay.
So then you got other kinds of loans that I really don't like, payday loans. I guess.
Why don't you like payday loans?
Well, these are just, you know, for people that are desperate. They need money right away, and they're exorbitant interest rates. And, you know, from my perspective, it's taking advantage of people, but it's a market for people that can't get money from any other source. And usually your next paycheck is supposed to cover the loan, so it's supposed to be a short-term loan. Doesn't often turn out that way. They usually have to get another loan to replace that because they can't keep their money afloat, and they're really high interest rates. So those are other loans in bankruptcy. Then you got your medical bills. So you got the doctors, the hospitals, the dentists, the eye doctors, the chiropractors, the medical supply companies. These are all debts that we see every day in bankruptcy. They go away.
They go away.
Then you got your overdrawn bank accounts. A lot of people, when their finances go south, they have kind of had a bunch of different bank accounts. They don't manage their money very well, and the bank account gets closed after they've overdrawn it, and there's all kinds of bounce check fees and things like that.
And then the additional fees that keep adding on and piling up. Yep.
Hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds, yeah.
And then you get into a position where other banks won't let you have a checking account because you get on a bad list that your name goes on, and they don't want you because they've seen that you've got that out there. Now, usually I think you can get your name off the list if you file bankruptcy. So then you got utilities, the electric company, the gas company here in Des Moines, it's one, Mid-America Energy, the water department, your cell phone companies. So these are your satellite providers, Mediacom, cable providers. So these are all debts that we see every day that people have, and they get to be a lot of money.
Yeah, they ratchet up there, yeah.
And when people are supposed to turn in their equipment, they do, and all of a sudden they're told, oh, we never got it, and all of a sudden they got a $1,500 bill with the cable company sitting on their credit report. So this will clean up all that stuff when you file bankruptcy. Now, the other kind of unsecured debts, this is kind of my subcategory of unsecured debts, are government debts. So we've spoken about these over the different shows. You got tax debt. Those sometimes go away. They have to have been tax returns that you filed, and they have to have been due for more than 3 years. So that's an unsecured debt if you meet all the other conditions that can go away into bankruptcy. So just because it's the government, people are fearful, go, oh, I didn't think we could get out of a debt, it's the government.
Right.
Well, you can. The government.
You can. There is a way to do it, and you have all the answers of how to do that, right?
Unemployment benefits, if you've gotten overpaid on your job service benefits, as long as there wasn't some fraud involved, some bad intent intent, you can make those go away. If you've been approved for your unemployment, and then sometimes they change their mind because there was an appeal, then they say, oh, sorry, you got to give that money back that we gave you.
Right, I've heard of that.
And it isn't easy to do.
Okay.
And then finally, overpayments of Social Security benefits. Sometimes people who are on disability or have children who are on disability get into a situation where they owe money back for Social Security because
they were overpaid?
They were overpaid by the way they reported, or monies they shouldn't have collected. And again, those can add up to a lot of money. And you're talking about people that don't have money to begin with, they're collecting Social Security. So those can go away, again, if there was no fraud or bad intent involved in the overpayment.
So debts come in all shapes and sizes,
They
is what
do.
it sounds like. And this is the guy that you need to get a hold of in case you have some of these debts that we just got done talking about here this morning. Now, again, you can find them online here, Iowa-bankruptcylaw.com. That's where you find Michael Jankins, or just pick up the phone and give him a call. He'll answer your phone. He'll say, hey, how you doing? I saw you on TV. And then I'm really surprised, Michael, you're not at the fair signing autographs.
Well, I wish we could be doing it at the fair.
Well, maybe next time we'll go to the fair. We'll hang out, eat a corn dog, and talk about this, okay?
There you go.
There it is.